Hello everybody, it's Tim here again, here another movie review, this time for the Wrong Turn reboot. I just recently watched this film, and I gotta say, from 1 to 4, I'd give it like a low 2 stars. This is a passable one-off watch movie. It's not something I would recommend to Wrong Turn fans, but to like casual horror fans, if you want just like a one-off watch killer hillbilly flick, this is fine. It's mediocre, nothing really special about it. It's just like a one-off watch movie. Nothing to go out of your way to see unless you're just like a hardcore Wrong Turn fan. You just gotta see them all. In terms of the Wrong Turn franchise, this is a reboot of part one. It's not a remake; it's pretty much a reboot. But I'll get into this in a minute. But the first Wrong Turn movie is pretty much about like 3 killer mutant hillbillies, inbred hillbillies with super strength and durable powers, where they can survive by anything, killing these people who pretty much got a wrong turn. And that's pretty much the plot of the first one. The original movie is just kind of an all-right standard slasher flick. There's nothing really special about it, but I liked it. I didn't mind it. It was average. This film completely goes against the plot of the first movie. Instead of being like about mutant killer hillbillies or whatever, it's about these people that just got young teens who like go into the woods or whatever, and they get lost by accident because this big rolling log off the top of a mountain. One of their friends gets squished and killed, and the rest of them just happen to run into like these hill people. Now, in this, the hill people aren't like cannibals or mutants or anything. They're just like this tribe of people, kind of like the Hills Have Eyes, kind of, but they're not cannibals. They just kind of like live in the mountains, and they set up traps and stuff to make sure people don't get on their land, because if you just wind up on their land by accident, they will literally blind you and just leave you in a cave to die. And they have like a whole collection of people in there. But here's like some of the problems with this flick. First, right off the bat, they've completely removed like the mutant killer hillbilly clan, who after like 6 films in the original franchise were pretty much the Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers to this series. So they've removed them and completely changed the plot, and they're going for a much more serious vibe instead of like the exploitation of the other films. So this was like a totally different movie, to the point where it's not even really a reboot or a remake. It's just a different movie that just happens to have the same name, Wrong Turn. And that will piss you off if you're a big fan of that original film. You will probably be pissed off watching this. Personally, I just thought the original film was just kind of average. I liked it, didn't mind it. It's an alright time waster. This flick, though, it shouldn't have been called Wrong Turn. Pretty much the Hillbilly Clan is like called the Foundation. You know, they don't really develop them or give you enough insight about them. It's just kind of like surface level stuff. Like they just give you a basic idea because they assume we've seen a bunch of other horror films about similar type characters, that you'll probably have an understanding or inkling of an idea of where these people come from, these mountain people. And this one of the dudes like falls into one of their traps they have set up, and they're like packing the dude off, and they're dressed up in like these grass type outfits or whatever with like animal skulls they're wearing, and the guy like gets out and like bashes one of them's heads in because like his girlfriend was missing or whatever, and he assumed that they did it, but later on you find out that supposedly they were like taking the dude to safety, so you don't really know if they were or not. It's questionable, because at the beginning of the movie they're like already kind of like stalking this group before they ever enter the woods. Like they're hanging out at the people's like vehicle and stuff before they ever enter the woods, and then when they do enter the woods, they like steal the people's cell phones and everything, which only reason they would take their cell phones is so they wouldn't be able to call out for help or the cops. So obviously they must have had something planned there. I mean, it doesn't really add up, because they try to play like the hill people try to play it off like they were just trying to help, and that by their rules they got to kill the guy because he killed one of their own. But at the same time, it does feel like it was set up to where they actually were going to kill the guy because they were kind of stalking him to begin with. So it doesn't really work like this whole maybe they were a good thing. It doesn't really come through. That could have been played better. But the dude who killed one of them, he like gets his head bashed in or whatever, and the leader of the group, he pretty much like rapes the girl, forces her to have sex with him because otherwise he'll kill her boyfriend. They blind one dude and like leave him in the caves with the rest of the people, and then we get like a time skip, and you got Matthew Modine of all people in here playing like the girl's father, and he's like searching for him, and he's like this old dude who goes into the mountains to find him, and he gets there and he's gonna rescue his daughter, but he's pretty much like 80 years old, and he's like one dude with a gun. He's not like Rambo or anything, so you're like, how's he gonna take out all these people? So he gets there, he gets his ass kicked, and the girl has become like indoctrinated into the group, and she's like a Rambo type chick who can do like all these sorts of cool battle moves and stuff, and you're like, well, how'd she get that way? Well, we don't know, because they did a time skip. Instead of like focusing on her character and how she learned to defend herself and all that, and all these types of combat skills, and trying to use them to escape is what they should have focused on. Instead, they've done a time skip, and we're just supposed to assume, well, she's just as good now. And pretty much she teams up with her dad. We find out like her boyfriend, who's like this black dude in the movie, that's pretty much all I know about his character, is that he was black. I mean, really, these characters are just, they're not really a lot going on. But we pretty much find out that they're getting ready to escape, and he wants to stay with the group because he's kind of like got Stockholm syndrome. They don't really explain why, once again, because they've done the time skip. Like, this dude has spent like his whole like years of his normal life like out in regular society, and all of a sudden after like 6 months he's like obsessed with wanting to stay with this cult. It doesn't really mesh because we don't really know like this guy's state of mind because we never really got to see his evolution. But anyway, so he's left there and the girl escapes with her dad. They get away. One nice little twist is there's like these hillbilly like dudes or whatever at the bar at the beginning of the movie who are kind of assholes, but later on in the movie they actually show up at the end and help the girl and her dad escape from the people. It's kind of a neat little twist. That was kind of cool. We get to the end of the movie and this ending right here, it goes on like way too long. We get to the end of the movie and like the main hillbilly dude has like left the clan with some like 2 or 3 other members, and he's dressed up normal and he's there to like meet the girl's family and all that because he wants to abduct her because she's pregnant with his kid. And he's like leaving with her and she's like leaving an RV with them, and then it starts playing the credits, and then we see during the credits that she like kills them all. We don't know how, it doesn't show it, but the RV like stops and they're all dead, and like one dude runs out and she like takes him out with a knife, and then she's just like walking towards the camera as the film ends. It just kind of feels like some kind of artsy type thing like thrown in. I would give it like a 2.5 just for that kind of artistic type ending, but as far as I'm concerned, once credits roll in a movie, that's when the movie's over. Anything you do after or during the credits doesn't really count to me. So that's as is. It's just a low 2-star passable one-off watch flick for me. Another thing I will say is that there's a huge plot hole at the end of this movie. So this girl and her dad escapes from the group, from the clan people called the Foundation. She escapes, and we have to assume that she never like called the police, or her dad called the police on these people, and we have to assume that she obviously would have had to have told the other families like what happened to their kids or their relatives or whatever. So we have to assume none of them ever called the police, because if they did, the police would have went to the hills, arrested all these guys, or they would have called the FBI and killed them all. But it's never brought up. There's no logic to it at the ending here. All in all, it's a low 2-star passable flick. It's not anything really offensive, but it's not anything to like really go out of your way to see unless you're just really hardcore Wrong Turn fan and you just got to see them all. Really, the only like good Wrong Turn movies are pretty much the first one and the second one. The second one's like B-movie exploitation, silly, goofy fun, and the first one's like an alright standard slasher movie. But all in all, this has never been a very good series. Anything after 2 has pretty much been trash, but this right here is just kind of eh. It didn't really need to be made. If it still had the name of like another movie, like if it wasn't like related to Wrong Turn, which easily really isn't, it would still just kind of be a meh to me. So all in all, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.